Hey folks, just wanted to give you an update on what is going on with the aquarium. It has been, what is today? I think today is the 28th, 29th. It's been about a week since I added the pressurized CO2, which is sitting right here bubbling away. I am doing about a bubble a second, something like that. It's been a week since I added it, and I don't know how well you can tell, but I've had a drastic reduction in the amount of black bearded algae in my tank. Get this stuff set down so that I can take a seat. It is looking much, much better. It's looking so much better. I still have quite a bit up around this Java fern, but overall it has been severely reduced. You can really see it when you look at this rock right here, and a week ago it had probably about a half an inch of stringy bushy algae on it. So I think part of the reason why I've had a little bit easier time getting rid of it is because of these guys right here. As far as I can tell, I have a really hard time with the Siamese algae eater versus flying fox argument, but from what I can tell, I actually did score some Siamese algae eaters because they have been doing some work. They have really been going around and picking at a lot of stuff. You can see one back there in the back right now, taking a pause to nibble at the Java moss, but they've been doing a really great job of getting things cleaned up. So between those guys and my, you can't even see them because it's so small, my otosinkless cleaning crew and the CO2, I think it's really made a pretty huge difference. So I also took out, you can't really tell, but I took out a ton of frog bit. I had so much frog bit in this tank that it was actually having a hard time getting any light to the bottom. So I took out, good Lord, probably about 3 or 4 plastic sandwich baggies full. I mean, I just pulled it out by the handful. It was ridiculous how much of it I took out. And even now, looks like I got to remove a lot more because it is crazy. If anybody's viewing and they want some frog bit, you know, leave a comment and I'll email you and send you some, because yeah, I have a ton of it. The CO2 has been doing a really good job at slowing down the growth of the algae, and I believe the Siamese algae eaters have been doing a really good job of cleaning it up. Another thing that I started on this week, I had been, up until now, just using Flourish. This week, I'm adding potassium. I'm adding nitrogen. I'm adding phosphorus. And I'm adding iron. So this is the full regimen. I'm actually probably, there's a couple of them that I probably won't add as often. Seachem on its website has this pretty awesome little dosing chart. It tells you, you know, day of the week, day 1, you want to put in Flourish XL, iron, phosphorus, and nitrogen. And then day 2, you want to put in Flourish Trace, Flourish XL, Flourish Iron. And it goes on like that. It's a 7-day schedule. I'm probably not going to be following this exactly because there was, I actually have to, and by the way, if you ever get a chance to use an old dresser or a bureau as your aquarium stand, it really is pretty awesome. Get all kinds of drawers. One of the things that I was reading, and I don't remember if it was the phosphorus or the potassium, I don't remember which, but one of them, you don't really see a lot of deficiencies in your tank, and it can actually be harmful to your fish. So that is one, just going by the chart, it has me dosing the potassium twice a week and the phosphorus twice a week. So I don't know which one it is. I have to look it up. whichever one that is going to be the one that I'm probably not going to dose on schedule because I really don't want to hurt my fish. I think the potassium is the harmless one, and the phosphorus is the one that you don't want to add too much of. Iron, they've got me dosing almost daily, which I might not need that much. I really don't have, I mean, I know I do need some just for general well-being of plants, but I don't really have a lot of red plants. That I don't know how to say it, Ludwigia in the back has some red, but it really doesn't have a really hard time staying kind of pink. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I had thought, because Flourish does say comprehensive supplement for the planet aquarium, microelements, trace elements, and other nutrients. So I thought that the Flourish was going to be enough. And after doing some reading, I found out that with my light, which is, from what I can understand, it is considered a highlight, and CO2 injection, when you add both of those things in, then you've really got to start bumping up nutrients. So I'm trying that. We're going to see what happens. Should work out pretty well. I'm pretty excited to start it, and I'm really hoping that I get some good growth in my tank. That is not algae. Growth that is not algae. Gotta qualify that statement. Also, I trimmed up the plants last night, so they all kind of look like a little kid with a bad haircut right now. I trimmed up the water sprite. It was reaching all the way to the top of the tank and starting to grow across the top of the water, so I figured it was probably time to do something about that. I also took out the spray bar and replaced it just with the little output head. The spray bar was causing, for me, what I felt was way too much surface disturbance, and it was kind of blowing the frog bed all over, and it was blowing the duckweed all over, and it just really got old having to pick duckweed out of the Java moss because it kept getting blown down into it by the filter output. So I'm just gonna call them flying foxes because it's easier to say. But yeah, they are putting some work in on that algae, and that's what they've been doing for several days now. I mean, they've just been going around just cleaning. So I'm pretty excited about them. We did have a bit of a flub with an otosynchus that almost made me cry. I was allowing my son to use the mag float, the little algae scraper, and he got a little too excited, and we were in the middle of talking, and he accidentally hit an otosynchus and knocked it off of the glass and down onto the substrate, and I almost cried. I actually made a little screaming noise, and the poor little Odo just laid there. He laid there forever, and my heart was breaking that I could not help this fish. I mean, normally if something gets injured, I pick it up and I cuddle it until it feels better. You can't do that with a fish. So, yeah, I just kind of put him, I took my little cucumber floater, you know, and I put him on the Marimo ball, and he grabbed onto that, and I put the cucumbers next to him, and by about an hour later, he had eaten a hole completely through the cucumber and was back on the glass. So I think he's okay. I've only been able to count 6 otosynchus in the tank, which there was 8 or 9. But I've only been able to count 6 of them for probably about the last 2 months. So I think I'm down to 6 otosynchus. But the little boogers, it's like playing Where's Waldo in your fish tank, trying to find them all. So right now I see 1, 2 on that thing, 3 up there. I don't know. I counted 6 before I left for class this morning. So I'm going to go on the assumption that there are actually 6 otosynchus in the tank, and that they are all functioning and alive. So I think he's going to be okay. My son was really, really upset about it. I mean, he was really upset that he thought that he had killed one of my favorite fish. So we're just going to have a little lesson in paying attention to what you're doing when you're working with the aquarium. And I should probably also find the mag float, because I don't know what he did with it now. I think maybe he took it out of the tank for fear of injuring another fish. But yeah, I trimmed up the Ludwigia, and I gave it a really steep haircut because it was reaching all the way to the top of the tank too. But it's been growing up and not getting nice and bushy, so I figured giving it a haircut was a way to go. This, I think this is a crypt. I'm not sure. This crypt had been struggling really hard for a really long time. I mean, it was really having a hard time growing. And it's actually perked up in the last week or so, so I'm really excited about that. My baby tears are growing up, but not out, so I gave them a pretty hefty trim last night. They were probably about this tall. So I cut off roughly half of the height, and we'll see how that goes. Everything else is pretty much the same. Those rotalas in the back are new. I actually had somebody tell me what this stuff is. This green stem right here with these little pokey outy pieces. I don't know what that is. It's one of the first plants that I picked up because I didn't know any better. And it's not really struggled. I mean, it's multiplied fast enough, but it looks so leggy. It's like the stems are too leggy. I don't know. Maybe that'll get fixed by the extra fertilizers or something, but it's just really not, I don't think it's a very pretty plant. So I actually gave the hair grass a pretty massive haircut. Somebody pointed out to me on one of the forums that hair grass is nice, but it is a ridiculous algae magnet, and it really was. I had blackbeard algae growing all over it. So I don't know if it will come back or not, but here we go. I chopped it down to nubs. I mean, I whacked the shit out of it. And we'll see what happens with that, because it was just covered in algae and I didn't want to deal with it anymore. So I got some of those rotalas and I put those in there on either side of my driftwood. I'm going to try to poof that up a little bit and fill that area in. Don't want to fill it in too much because from what I understand, Corys don't like sand well, they don't like planted bottoms. They would rather have a sand bottom. So I'm trying to leave all of this area down here open for the Corys to kind of play with. Let's see, what else? Did I mention that I have too much frog bit? Because I got too much frog bit. The Java moss is really kind of growing crazy. I had to take out, if you probably don't remember, I don't even know who watches these. About a week ago, I took out a hunk of Java moss to try to clean the black-geared algae off, and I tried soaking it in a strong XL solution, and that didn't do anything. So I did a bleach dip on it and left it in for maybe 5 seconds, and then took it out, soaked it in some prime, and put it back in the tank. And it was looking really great for a couple of days, but then I don't know what happened. It turned to this really sickly green color, and yeah, it just didn't look good. So I just pulled it out. I was like, all right, failed experiment. That's fine. Look at that little Siamese algae eater go. Get that. Get that blackbeard algae. Yes, my little minions. I love you. I'm really so excited about these fish. Anyway, another thing that I got this week, and I'm going to try really hard to get a good picture of it, are these. And I'm not sure how to pronounce their name. It's a Celebes or Celebes. I don't know. It's Celebes. They are rainbow fish. And they are just absolutely stunning. Of course, he keeps hiding behind the damn plant. But yeah, they are just beautiful fish. I love them. They have such lovely colors. And I got 2 males and 2 females. Apparently they are egg scatterers. So I probably won't ever see any babies out of these. The eggs will get eaten. There's another male right there. And here is, whoop, nope, that's a male. Come here, female. Here's a female right there. She doesn't quite have the fins that the male does. But yeah, they're just beautiful. I mean, they're some of my favorite fish now. Just because of the colors. They have you probably can't see it because of the spectrum on my light, but they have a really lovely blue stripe and these bright yellow fins with little black stripes on them. But yeah, gorgeous. So questions for my people this week include, how much of this frog bit should I take out? I really like having the floating plants to help clean up some of the excess nutrients, but at the same time, I don't want to dampen my light so much that I can't grow my plants. What do you dose and how much of it do you dose? That is another question for anybody that might be watching. What kind of fertilizers do you use and how much do you use them? And are there any plants that I should just take out of here right now because they're not going to work out so well? So yeah, that's my questions for the week. Oh, I do have another question. How the hell do I get the algae off of that thing? I mean, it's the only thing in the tank that is that crusted up with algae. And I'm not sure why it's that piece in particular, but I took it out and I scrubbed at it with a toothbrush and it did not budge. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe I've just got a green output for a while. Also, my Venturi stopped working. I'm not sure why. Let me stand up. Get a full tank shot here. And that is this month's update. And I will do another one in a couple of weeks and kind of take a measure of how much difference the fertilizer has made. Bye.